Steve Allen here, and today we are going to be working on this sweet 95 second gen 4Runner. I love this color. It's a Raptor line finish that he put on there, and it's like a late model, the older Porsche color. Anyways, we are going to be making some rock sliders for this bad boy. So they're going to go right up in here. Obviously, that's where rock sliders go. And got a little bit of a curvy frame, but got lots of room. No weird suspension components in the way like X-Rius or KDSS. So this is going to be beautiful build once we get this all done. I'm looking forward to getting those knocked out. And then on the back, we are going to be making a high clearance bumper, replacing this guy and putting in some side plating on the corners, and haven't decided what I'm going to do across the back here though. So we'll figure it out as we get that bumper off. And then we're going to be putting a center positioned tire carrier on there, and it is going to look pretty sweet. So stay tuned, here we go. Beautiful, foggy, misty morning out here in Brazoria County, but today we're going to be working on this sweet second gen 4Runner. We're going to be mocking up some rock sliders, measuring all this out. So one of the first things that we want to do is figure out, okay, what's the distance from the frame here to this rocker panel pinch weld. So we want to figure out where we're going to put the main beam of the rock slider. So typically I'll use a 2x2 3/16 inch square tube. I'm going to put that in there with some 2x2 extensions, and really what we're looking for is to make sure that we've got enough clearance to have the frame come out or come down far enough for the extension tubes to sit there on the bottom. And it looks like they're going to be pretty low on this frame, so they're going to be right to the bottom, and it looks like it's a little bit more than 2 inches, so that's good. Hopefully 2.5. That gives us a 2-inch clearance, so we can come straight out from the frame and attach to that main rail. And then we're going to put the round tubing on the outside of that, so that's what we're going to be looking at here. Now I'm probably going to put one extension tube here, but this is slipped in, so we'll get tube in the back there. That might be enough, but I think I'm going to try and get another one up in here. So we'll have to put a bit of an angle on that cut line there for where the extension tube gets into the actual frame of the vehicle. And then we're going to I usually do like a 5-inch extension out from that main rail, and then for the kick out about 8. I think I'm going to cut it in a little bit though, just because this truck's a little smaller than some of the later models that I've been doing rock sliders for, and so we want to make sure it's proportional. So I think we're probably going to go like 4.5, and 7 or 7.5 for the kick out. So sliders are not terribly hard to make. They're pretty straightforward. It's just getting some of the angles set properly. So one of the things we want to do is just measure the length of this rocker panel here. And for this one, it's 68 inches. So measure that again just to make sure. Yeah, 68 inches. So most of it's actually interesting because the 4th gens and the GXs are actually 72 inches long on the front there. So if we got 68 inches, I like to take off about 1 inch from the front and the back. So we're going to make these sliders about 66 inches long. I'm going to angle in the square tube from the back here forward, and at the front part here forward as well. So this is going to sit in about 1 inch inside the fender here, the wheel well, and then that also looks good because as it drops down, it's going to be back a little bit from these big tires. So he's got big 33s. Yeah, 285/70s, yeah. So they're 33s. So we're going to make this 66 inches long, 66 and a half, something like that. And then cut those square tubes and then start measuring in for the extension tubes as well. And then the round tubing, you know, there's a lot of bending, but it comes together pretty quickly. So let's get on that and see how it rolls out. Okay, back to the rock sliders. I got the steel for the bumper plate over there. It's like 180 pounds, I think, for that sheet. Not super heavy, but awkward for sure. And we got some plate, 1/4 inch plate. We've got more 2x2, so we've got the main rails cut, 66 inches long, little 30-degree angle at the end there. And now what we'll do is start putting that into place on the side of the truck. Got our little cover to keep the dust off it. I think what I'll do is get some jack stands and throw that up there and start working on the extension tubes. Get those in place so I know approximately where I'm going to have the main rail situated, and then I can build the round tubing off that. So that's kind of the plan. And we got the plates for the extension tubes. These are going to get welded into the frame, and then some gussets here. So just 4x4. And these are about 1.5 inches by 3 inches long. Just squared them off a little bit, knock these out, and use the surface conditioning tool there to clean them up so they weld in better. And over here we have the extension tubes all done. So as I mentioned, that frame sweeps in a little bit at the front, so this will be the driver's side as the frame comes in and sweeps in. So these are about 4 7/16 of an inch long along the top section there, because the bottom's going to get kicked out, so it angles up about 5 degrees, as you can see there. So flat on this side where it gets welded onto the plate over there, and that gets welded onto the frame. And then the 2x2 long main rail tubing is going to get put onto that, and then that'll be angled up about 5 degrees. So, and then here we've got about 7 1/16 of an inch from the rock slider main rail at the back part of the tube here, the extension tube, and about 1/2 inch longer, so 7 9/16 of an inch at the front end here. It looks like it was about a 13-degree angle as that frame sweeps in at the front end of the body of the truck. So those are all done. We're working on the plates now. The main rails are done, and next would be bending some of this 2-inch, 1/8 thick tubing so we can make those rock sliders. We are on to bending tubing, and in fact we have the front part of the outer rail bent already. And before I cut this to length though, what I want to do is get that back kick out bent in, because that's going to come out and dig into here, and I'm just not sure exactly where it's going to go. This is a little different length than I'm used to making, so I want to make sure I get this cut properly. So we'll make the kick out. I think I'm going to keep it at 8 inches because I've tucked this in pretty far, so I want to make sure I get this rail out far enough so they can actually use it as a step as well as a rock slider. And I know Aaron's mentioned his wife wants to be able to get her foot on it, so I think I'm going to go with 5, maybe even 5.5 inches at the front, and probably about 8 at the back. It'll come out just inside the edge of the tire here, and that'll kick anything out around the back wheel. And then I believe we can get that pretty balanced, and it'll look nice. I like the way this comes out here and angles in. It's a little pain in the ass to weld around there, but it does look good. And then we'll bring this front outer rail in and cope around it. You'll see what I do there. But I think we should be able to get this kick out in where this door seam is and kick it in right there. It's a 7-inch radius for this 1 3/4 inch bender. So we'll get that dialed in. good to go. And there's our bent tube, so we get that at 90. So now what is going to happen here is this is going to go into the rock slider like that, and then that outer rail is going to come kicking into here like that. So I need to figure out where I'm going to put the kick out to get the distance that I want. So basically it's going to look like this. It's going to go on the back, and I want this to be up around here and about 8 inches to there. Here, let me get this set up and I'll show you. Okay, there's the look I'm going for. So we've got the back kick out here, kicking in here, kicking out there, and then this is about 7¼ inches. So what I'm going to do is, this is 5, this outer rail here. So what I'm going to do is cut this off about here and cope that around the edge of the kick out, and this is going to stick out just a little bit more. He doesn't want to be like a too extreme of a kick out, just enough to bop anything out around the back wheel, which is great. And then this one's going to get cut off flat here in order to come into here, and then we're going to put a couple of little extension support tubes in here, flat across the square tube there, and coped out to match up with the round tubing here. So now I've got the distances. It's going to slide back a little bit. I'm going to cut this off flush first, slide it back, figure out where I'm going to cut this, probably about here. And then cope it out, and it'll knock right into here, and we'll make a couple of our little extension tubes here. And then we're good on the rock sliders for this side. And we'll do the same for the other side. So once I get the one side set up there, I just take the cut tubing, place it on this bent tube, the new one, and then just angle it out, cut it a little bit extra, maybe 1/4 inch or so, and then that gets all the excess off, and then I can get it into place and make sure that I like the way it's looking and it's the same as the other side. Well, I pretty much got those rock sliders done today, so that's pretty exciting. So here they are, all put together for the most part. I got to get the extension tubes on, but these are all set, so that is pretty nice to have done. Pretty excited about that. I'll touch up a little bit of a weld here. There's a spot there I missed and a little hole there. So I'll go through that and then smooth those out. And I think I'm done for today though. I will let those sit and then hit them with some primer tomorrow. And or maybe I'll put the extension tubes on first. Yeah, I think I'll get everything done. And then get working on that rear bumper. Can't wait. We got the sliders all welded together for the most part. Now we're working on the extension tube. I'm just going to put a piece of plating down underneath the tube here, so when I pop this on, it's going to be level with it, and it's not going to be askew, so I can drop it in, push it down, make sure it's square and flush, and then put a couple tacks in there. What I want to do is get this tacked into place first, and then pop it up on the truck and make sure that I like the positioning of this in. When I had these underneath the truck, I marked off where the extension tubes were likely going to go. And you can see this has got a bit of an angle to that in sweep on the front of the frame. So I'll do this on each of these, and then we'll come on back and show you how it's going to look. Here is the look. It's exactly what I'm going for in terms of the width and not too far out. We got the kick out there, just kicking out around the tire, not too far out. And in terms of, let's see if I can get under here. So what I've got here is, I wanted to have all this flushed up against the frame and make sure it doesn't rock back and forth. So this can tilt down just a smidge more. So that comes down just a little bit to the bottom. It's a little higher on the top than the bottom across the way, so that's good. But that's exactly what I was looking for. So I don't want this rocking when I push on the front of the back. If it's if the front and the very back are too long, then this won't be touching here. If this is too long, or the front and middle are too long, or the middle is too long, or the back and the middle is too long, then this will rock as I push on one end or the other. So this is exactly what I was looking for. So that's about 13 degrees there, this little sweep, so we hit that nice. So now what I'm going to do is just make sure I like the positioning, and then mark off on the frame here where I've got the plate is going to go in, and then I'm going to sand that off so we can get a good weld on it. So I'll do that for around all of these areas here. So that's exactly what I was looking for. So pretty happy with that. And just recreate that for the driver's side. But there we go, man, that's going to look sweet when it's all painted up. So here's what I mean by it not fitting perfectly. So for whatever reason, because these are exactly the same as the other side, we got it set properly here at the back. Squeeze that in a bit, there we go. So I got that dialed in properly. This one's for the most part touching, but this one's out a centimeter. So then what I did is I'll check up here and see, okay, so how far out is this? So this is about 28 millimeters, or a little over an inch. And then this one back here is 18. So that makes sense that this one is out a little bit too far. So what's holding it up? It's going to be this guy here, this middle dude. So if I've got to bring that in a centimeter, 10 millimeters, when I get to the fine stuff like this, I use metric because I'm Canadian. So although tomorrow I'm actually getting my oath ceremony so I can become a US citizen. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, that was a long process and expensive. Anyways, I think what I'll do is just take off 5 millimeters here. These are all evenly spaced, so that should drop that front end a centimeter. So that's coming off, and because that's going to change the angle just a little bit, I'm going to take a little bit off this side here to allow that to angle in, and that should be good. But I'm going to get under here and try it again, make sure I like it before I weld the plates on. Well, we got everything back from the powder coater. Got the side panels up in the front because they're small. I didn't want them bouncing around. Let's get them on this rig. It's gonna look great. Sliders are going in. Bumpers on the back. Looks good. Pretty happy with how it's all coming together. So we're just have to weld the driver's side rock sliders in. Show you what I got going on here. So I'm just making sure I got them evenly spaced front to back, similar to the other side. And then underneath, just a lot of clamping to make sure they're all set the way I want them, tight. And then I've got some ground grinding there to make sure I got a good connection. So I'll attach the ground line on that and then weld them in. And here is the final result of this build. So we got the rock sliders on here and then also the plate bumper for the rear. And we welded in a 3x2 3/16 inch thick crossbar or rectangular tubing across the back too. But the rock sliders went in perfectly. They look awesome. We still need to do a little coating around the welding up on the frame, but I really like the way that ties the whole truck together. Looks great. It was a fun build. Really like the angles of that rear bumper. And it flowed in really nicely with the whole look of the truck. Very nice. So good build. That was fun. Aaron brought his truck actually in on a U-Haul car carrier. He towed it with his other 4Runner, and I think he was coming to pick it up the next day. So he loved the look of it, and hopefully he's getting some good use out of it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. It helps out a lot. Have a great day. Bye.